And these last 4 games, the Knicks have been incredible, specifically offensively. 4 straight blowouts, 4 straight examples of tremendous execution. They had such a good game plan yesterday to attack Joel Embiid, and they came out with exact energy and in following the game plan, everybody straight down the line. If they continue to play like this, the sky is the limit.
The Knicks just dropped 137 points on the 76ers in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Semifinals. They shot 63% from the field and piled up 34 assists on 53 made baskets. Jalen Brunson scored 35 and never even played the fourth quarter because the game was already over.
3 hits, 3 seconds left. Brunson got it! Jalen Brunson!
Just a few nights earlier, the Knicks closed Atlanta's season with a record-breaking blowout. And here's the part that really stands out. Over their last 4 playoff games, New York is now plus 135 in point differential. So if you've been watching the Knicks over the last 2 weeks and trying to figure out whether this is real or just another classic Knicks tease that ends with hearts getting broken in May, I get it. You've seen this before. This franchise has a way of making you believe, then pulling the rug out from under you. But this is not going to be another highlight reel telling you Brunson is great and the Knicks are hot. What matters here is figuring out what is actually making this team work. The system Mike Brown has quietly built. The two-way identity that has pushed them into a tier above a lot of the league. And the one player on this roster holding the whole thing together that almost nobody outside New York is giving enough credit to. Because what the Knicks sent in Game 1 and in those final 3 games against Atlanta was not just a message to Philadelphia. That was a message to the entire Eastern Conference. Start with what happened Sunday night because I do not think most people fully appreciate how complete that performance was. You see the final score 137-98 and your brain files it away as just another blowout. But not every blowout feels the same. There's the slow one where a team builds control over 3 quarters. There is the hot shooting one where everything drops and you know the other team probably wins on a normal night. And then there was this. The 76ers led for the first 3 minutes of the game. Then they never led again. The Knicks were up 8 after the first quarter, up 23 at halftime, up 31 going into the fourth. Philadelphia's final lead came at the 3:21 mark of the opening quarter. After that, it turned into the Brunson and OG Anunoby show and Madison Square Garden was absolutely shaking. Brunson scored 14 points in the first quarter alone. Early in the game, he drilled a 26-foot 3 to get himself going. Then he poured in another 13 in the second. And just before halftime, he buried a deep, buzzer-beating 3 that brought the entire building down. You could feel the Garden through the television. His final line was 35 points on 12 of 18 shooting. 3 of 6 from deep. A perfect 8 for 8 at the line. 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. And then he sat the entire fourth quarter because the game was already over. That was the 3rd most 35-point playoff games by a point guard in NBA history. And quietly, Brunson is building a postseason resume that is going to look pretty ridiculous 10 years from now.
Brunson goes to work. The back it, the spin. Brunson gets it to go and one.
But here's where it gets interesting because Brunson's individual line is one thing. The team members around him are what really tell the story. The Knicks shot 63% from the field. They hit 51% from 3. They finished with 34 assists on 53 made baskets, which means roughly 2 out of every 3 New York buckets came directly off a pass. They outscored Philadelphia 58-32 in the paint. They won fast break point 16-3. They had 10 steals to the Sixers 6. They forced 19 Philadelphia turnovers while giving up only 14 of their own. The bench was just as dominant. New York's second unit outscored Philadelphia's 40-23. Every Knick who checked into the game scored at least 2 points. There were We Want Kolek chants in garbage time. Tyler Kolek gave them 8 points and 4 assists in 10 minutes of cleanup duty. Mohamed Diarra added 5 points off the bench. Even the back end of the rotation was producing. And on the other side, Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey combined for only 27 points. Brunson outscored both of them by himself. Paul George led Philadelphia with 17, but he finished minus 26. Embiid shot 3 of 11 from the field. Maxey, who alongside Embiid had just carried the Sixers through 7 games against Boston, finished 3 of 9. Now, I already know what some of you are thinking. Yeah, but Philadelphia had just come off a 7-game series against Boston that ended 2 days earlier. They were running on fumes. That is fair. The fatigue was obvious. You could see it in the legs of Embiid and Maxey. Embiid was limping off the floor in Game 7 against Boston. He came into this series with real mileage on him. That helps explain part of why Philadelphia lost. It does not explain how the Knicks won. This was an operational takeover. For 48 minutes, New York did exactly what it wanted to do on both ends of the floor. Philadelphia never found answers. Nick Nurse even tried the hack-a-mitch early to break the rhythm. Mitchell Robinson missed all 4 free throws. It did not matter. Mike Brown went to another option, and the Knicks kept rolling. When a disruptive strategy does not even slow you down, you are operating on a completely different level than the team across from you. And that brings me to what I think is actually happening here. The Knicks finished the regular season with the 4th-ranked offense and the 7th-ranked defense in the league. In the first round of the playoffs, they ranked 2nd in offensive rating and 3rd in defensive rating across all 16 playoff teams. Their defensive rating in that series was 103.8. That would have been the best mark in the entire regular season. That is a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. There are maybe 3 teams in the league right now that can credibly say they have both, and only one of them is in the East. So how is this happening? 3 things, and all 3 matter. The first is the offensive system. Mike Brown has repositioned Karl-Anthony Towns as a high post hub instead of a pure post scorer. Towns has been operating from the elbow. He can shoot, he can pass, he can hand off, he can screen. That one positional shift forces opposing bigs to step out of the paint to guard him. And the moment that happens, driving lanes open for Brunson and clean cutting lanes open for everybody else. It also takes pressure off Brunson. For a long time, Brunson was the guy every defense built its entire game plan around stopping in isolation. Now he is working off Towns. He is getting cleaner looks. He is seeing easier reads. He is finding teammates with more space. Towns himself has already posted multiple triple-doubles this postseason. He became only the 2nd player in Knicks history with more than 1 playoff triple-double. The other one was Walt Frazier. The second piece is spacing. The Knicks now start 3 legitimate 3-point threats around Brunson and Towns. OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and you cannot help off any of them without paying for it. In Game 1, the Knicks hit 19 threes. Multiple players knocked down more than one. That matters because the spacing creates a chain reaction. When defenders cannot help, Brunson gets paint touches. When Brunson gets paint touches, Towns gets clean looks. When Towns gets clean looks, the defense has to commit. And when the defense commits, the wings are open. That is how you get 34 assists. That is how you shoot 63% in a playoff game. The whole thing is connected. And once it starts humming, there's no easy way to shut it down. The third piece is depth. And honestly, I think this one is one of the most underrated parts of the whole thing. The Knicks had the 2nd-ranked bench in the playoffs during the first round. When Miles McBride was on the floor in that Atlanta series, New York outscored the Hawks by 29 points per 100 possessions. McBride himself was plus 29 per 100. Jordan Clarkson has given them scoring off the bench. Jose Alvarado checks in and changes the energy. But the biggest X factor off the bench might be Mitchell Robinson. He brings physicality. He controls the offensive glass. He changes possessions. This is not a team running 7 deep and hoping everybody survives. This is a team running 9 or 10 deep with the back end of the rotation actually producing real minutes. And that matters in the playoffs because legs get heavy, because every possession matters, because depth stops being a luxury once a series starts grinding. Now we get to the part one think matters most. If I asked you right now who the most important player on the New York Knicks is, what would your answer be? Most fans would say Jalen Brunson. And I get it. He is the engine. He is the all-star. He is the one hitting buzzer beaters. He is the face of the franchise, and he has earned every bit of that. A lot of NBA people would say Karl-Anthony Towns. That is fair too. He is the unlock in the system, and a lot of what New York does depends on him playing well and staying on the floor. But I think the most important player on this roster is actually OG Anunoby. Look at what he has done this postseason. In the first round against Atlanta, he averaged 21.5 points on 61% shooting from the field and 57% from three. He was the best player on the floor in multiple games in that series. Then in Game 1 against Philadelphia, he went 7 of 8 from the field, 2 of 2 from 3, and finished with 18 points on perfect efficiency. But honestly, the scoring is almost the least interesting part of what he does. OG had the best net rating of any Knick who played more than half the regular season. The team is simply better when he is on the floor. Full stop. His former college coach at Indiana, Tom Crean, said something a few weeks ago that stuck with me. He said, Anunoby is almost taken for granted nationally. And that is exactly right. He is not a 30-point scorer. He is not flashy. He does not dominate highlight shows. So nationally, the conversation just kind of moves past him. But every night, he shows up and changes games. Mike Brown has been very open about this. He has called Anunoby the engine behind the Knicks' elite defense. And once you start watching with that lens, you cannot unsee it. OG is the reason New York can switch everything defensively. He guards point guards. He guards wings. He guards stretch fours. He took the toughest assignment in the Atlanta series. He will take the toughest assignment in this Philadelphia series too. And there are not many perimeter players in the league he cannot credibly check. That changes everything. It means New York can stay flexible. It means they can survive mismatches. It means they do not have to constantly overhelp. And on offense, he is the player who makes the spacing actually matter. You cannot leave him in the corner. He punishes closeouts. He cuts hard. He finishes through contact. And he does not need plays called for him to score. Take him off this roster, and what do you have? You have a one-creator offense running through Brunson. You have a stretch five who needs defensive cover. And you have a bunch of good complementary pieces. Put him on this team in the form he is playing right now, and suddenly the Knicks start looking a lot more like a real contender, because he is the connective tissue. He is the player who lets the whole system function on both ends. He is the X factor that takes New York from very good to genuinely dangerous. So here is where we are. Game 1 was a complete operational dismantling of a desperate, banged-up Philadelphia team. Yes, the Sixers were tired. That part is real. But the Knicks shot 63% and finished with 34 assists. That is not just fatigue from the other side. That is a team in total control of everything happening on the floor. The system Mike Brown has built is coming together. Top 5 offense, top 5 defense, 10 deep rotation, multiple shooters, real interior presence, real coaching adjustments, and the player who makes the whole thing work without getting the credit he deserves. OG Anunoby is the connective tissue. The message the Knicks sent in Game 1 was not just to the 76ers. Philadelphia was just the messenger. The message was to the entire Eastern Conference. New York is here, and they are built differently than the last 25 versions of this franchise. Now, I do expect Philadelphia to bounce back. I do think they are going to put up a fight. This series is far from over. If Embiid and Maxey get going, the Knicks are going to be in for a real dogfight. But after Game 1, the conversation feels different. Because now the question is not whether New York can compete. Now the question is how far this version of the Knicks can actually go.